I want to begin by welcoming everyone here to tonight's debate. On behalf of United Messengers of Peace, welcome. My name is Stephanie Rodriguez. I am the founder and president of United Messengers of Peace, and with the help of different community members and my mom, who's the CEO of the organization, we put together this forum for the community to get to hear the different candidates who will be running for Board of Education. Unfortunately, while all the candidates were invited, we only have 3 here, and they are all on the same ticket, so this cannot be a debate. What we are willing to do, if it's okay with all 3 candidates, is allow the audience to ask questions rather, and allow the candidates to answer the questions. They will still receive opening and closing remarks. Is this okay with the candidates?
It's okay. It feels so far apart since our adversaries are here. Is it okay that I just move
Absolutely.
over?
Could you maybe take the nameplate?
Yes.
Let's move that.
I'll move it.
Are there any audience members that would like to ask questions?
Who's the one that engaged?
Absolutely, but I don't know if anyone else has other questions. So without further ado, I would like to present the moderator. Coming from Rutgers University, he's the Director of Debate, Professor Dr. Matthew Mayes.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you all can hear me. I shouldn't have a problem or need to really use this microphone because the good Lord blessed me with a loud enough voice. But before we begin with the questions and the conversation, I first want to thank Stephanie and the United Messengers of Peace for inviting me to this forum tonight. It's an honor as someone who teaches college students to talk about the importance of education, as well as, more importantly, the politics of what happens in one's community. A little bit of a background about me. I actually come from California. I was born and raised. And when I was in high school, I was actually the representative of my school to the Board of Education, and would give every month presentations about what was happening with our school. And that really kind of got me into the civic mindedness that I've carried throughout. Also having a father who was a minister, and we worked around our local church and with our local community, I've always seen the importance and the need of having the community and the board members, in this case, working together hand in hand to improve not only the school, the community, and everyone else that it reaches to. So with that being said, there are a few questions that we have, but before that begins, what I'd like to do is give each speaker about 1 minute to 2 minutes just to kind of let us get to know a little bit more about you, a little bit of an opening statement. Also, over here to my right and your right, Ms. Damaris and Stephanie will be keeping the time for you. So if you see her hold up the sign, the non-red side means you have 30 seconds left, and the red side says, "Thank you very much, your time's up." So, with that being said, we'll just start with who's closest to me. Mr. Ramirez, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much. Thank you to the United Messengers of Peace and to Dr. Maddox for inviting me to today's debate. Also, thank you to the audience for taking the time out to come here tonight. This shows your dedication towards the District of Perth Amboy. My name is Anthony Bermudez, and I was born and raised here in Perth Amboy. I graduated class of '92 from Perth Amboy High School. After graduating high school, I joined the United States Army, where I retired from after doing 22 years between the Army and Army National Guard. I am currently working as a Middlesex County Sheriff's Officer for the County of Middlesex. I have served in both Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom for combat operations. I am married to my wife, Vanessa Bermudez, and have 4 beautiful children between the 2 of us. I currently sit on the executive board of the Perth Amboy Democratic Organization and am a member of the Perth Amboy Board of Education, where I have served for 3 years. During my tenure in the Board of Education, we supported and improved the implementation of a mentoring program for our student athletes in conjunction with Princeton University. We hired a new superintendent who has a vision to put Perth Amboy on the map, to be one of the most successful and competitive districts in New Jersey. We opened a new dual language school, the first of its kind in New Jersey, with almost 400 students enrolled. We will be breaking ground early next year for the new Seaman Street Elementary School. We also worked very hard on acquiring property to build our much-needed new high school. Certain people may try to lead you to believe that they were partially responsible for getting a new high school, but that, my friends, is not true. President LeBron led the way feverishly to make sure we, as a board, accomplished that goal. With all those accomplishments, there is still a lot to be done. As the old saying goes, Rome was not built in a day. I am asking for your support so that I, along with the rest of my team, may serve you for another 3 years so that we can bring our goals to fruition. Come out November 8th and vote for N4, Samuel LeBron, N8, Israel Varela, and for myself, N6, Anthony Bermudez. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go to your left, and please, 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Samuel LeBron. Thanks to UMAP and the NAACP for this debate. Welcome, candidates, especially our moderator, Dr. Maddox, candidates Israel Varela and Anthony Bermudez. I thank the community for being here tonight. I'm currently the president of the Board of Education and a board member for about 6 years. I'm here because I deeply care about my community, its residents, and especially our children. That's why I will, with my running mates, continue spearheading the improvements of our school district for the benefit of our students, community, and staff. Results show our work is improving our schools. 2 weeks ago, we highlighted our state park standardized test results. In virtually every category and grade level, our schools improved. These improvements only happened because we and the administration have undertaken a deep restructuring of the district. Our work is making the difference. We recently completed all curriculum writing, which had been neglected under the failed pro-charter schools CAFRE years. We're also rebuilding the district from inside classrooms to outside buildings, from teachers to administration, from past attitudes to a system-wide culture of empowerment and achievement. Together we have a can-do outlook, and we are doing it. We're not done yet. We'll complete the work we started. Last month, I signed a $7.4 million check to purchase land for our new high school. This purchase and getting the state to commit the project funds was a tireless effort led by me and my fellow board members, done without assistance and in spite of interference from politicians. We'll be breaking ground on a new elementary school next year. We opened a first of its kind and unique school in New Jersey for our children, a dual language school. My vision is to build a new administration building. Then the current administration building can be transitioned into a new middle school. With 2 middle schools, another elementary school, and a 3rd middle school, will provide a better education for our children. Unless, of course, the city administration continues building residential units without caring about the impact it has on our community and school system. Many other projects must still be completed to achieve greatness for our school district. Our children deserve no less. All this we have done while minimizing impact to our homeowner property taxes. You gave me the opportunity to be your voice, improve our school system, and safeguard the future of our children. I have delivered on your hopes and expectations, but we must complete the work. So, on November 8th, vote Samuel LeBron N4, Anthony Bermudez N6, and Israel Varela N8. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For our final speaker, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you to Stephanie and the NAACP for being here. And, well, I was not born in Perth Amboy, but raised in Perth Amboy. I was born in Camden, New Jersey. I graduated Perth Amboy High School, joined the Marine Corps 3 days after I graduated high school, served in the military where I was injured, and then came back, graduated from DeVry, worked for Bell & Howell Robotics. Then I actually started my own business, and I met my wife over 29 years ago. I have 3 children right now, and education has always been part of the theme because of what happened to me through my life. And I was involved. I was involved, been involved in everything: T-ball, baseball, karate, and PTO, slick team. So everything about education. If you look at what uniforms are here, that it was because of a team that we had in the Richardson School. When we talk about the new high school, we've been talking about that for many years, even before we were trying to actually get the property, a much larger property, but the interference of City Hall made that impossible, but I still will not give up on that. And actually, when we talk about technology, I've been talking about, when I was in the PTO, about Wi-Fi. So a lot of what you guys asked for, we've been trying to implement, but the interference of others have led this. So I really do want, because with the help of my teammates, many things that I've been trying, it was possible because they supported our ideas. So please come out and vote for Anthony Bermudez, and Samuel Lebron, and myself, Israel Varela. So it's 4, 6, and 8. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. What I'd like to do now is, I've been given a series of questions, but at any given time, if anyone has a direct question or a follow-up, please let me know. I'll just point to you and we can have an interaction here. Unfortunately, we don't have enough to have what I like to traditionally call a debate, but we will have kind of a Q&A where everyone will have the opportunity to respond accordingly. So at any given time, as I said, if anyone has a question or anything of that nature, please let me know and we can add on to it. With that being said, each question you'll have about a minute to a minute and a half to respond, and then we will move to the next question or anyone from the audience. So the first question that I've been given for this evening. As a board member, what do you see as the greatest challenge facing Perth Amboy's Board of Education in the future? And we'll start in the order that we went last time.
Thank you for the question. I think the greatest challenge that we're having right now is probably the overcrowding. Perth Amboy is overcrowded as it is, and I understand that the city is going to be building new homes, new housing, and you have to, for every family or for every apartment that you have out there, every house that you have out there, you have to multiply that times 2, because that's how many kids you're going to be coming into our district. Now, we are preparing ourselves to deal with that by acquiring more property. We are looking into different scenarios with our buildings that we currently have, trying to expand them so that we can go ahead and prevent the overcrowding from taking over, basically. But if there was a way that we can possibly get with the city and possibly hold off the overcrowding or try to limit it to a certain amount, where, I mean, it would be great. But again, we are preparing ourselves for that, and we're hoping to be able to deal with it when it does come.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Please.
I do agree with the statements made by my running mate, Anthony Bermudez. Overcrowdedness has led us to a lot of problems. And a challenge for this board is exactly what he said as well, which is how do we try to work with the city administration so that we do city planning together. That is really the biggest challenge around for us, because with this 1,000 units coming online in the near future, from what we've heard from the city administrators, that means that at least 2,000 more kids are going to be in our midst. 2,000 more. Think about that. We have 12,000. That's quite an increase. That's a 50-60% increase in classroom capacity that we don't have. So it's very difficult for our staff, and we have the finest staff in the state. I have to tell you that. We have a lot of really qualified, nationally board certified staff members. Our staff loves our children, and you see it whenever they're around. You can see it in their eyes, the way that they interact with them. But if they have to take care of about 35 to 40 kids in a classroom, there is no way that true education can take place. So yes, overcrowdedness is our biggest problem, biggest challenge, and trying to work with the city government that can actually work with the board is what we have to try to look forward to.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It looks like we all agree on the same topic, but I look at it a little bit differently in the sense that not into people from Perth Amboy. That includes our staff, our students, our parents, not until they get out there and aggressively and demand their rights. Nothing is actually going to be happening. I understand we need housing, but you could build 5,000 apartments, they'll be filled in 1 year, and you're going to ask for another 5,000. But unfortunately, we don't have the schools. We do not have the facility because we need more property. Every school that has been built here in Perth Amboy in the last years, every single one's overcrowded. I know because I get to go inside these schools and there's nothing you can do, not until we all get together and demand a better education. It's not that staff members are not giving you, it's not that the board is, but unfortunately, what moves a city is development, and it's real estate, and people are taking advantage of us. And we're just keeping quiet, and we're allowing them. We enable them to do this, because real estate developers want to grow for Perth Amboy. This is how they financially grow. And like you always hear, it's for the children. No, it's not. It's for their pocket. And this is how these campaigns are run, whether individuals and we as a community, not until we do what the suburbs do aggressively, because you know if something like what happens at Perth Amboy, because something happened here in Amboy where the state interfered 3 times. It has never happened in the history of the state of New Jersey. But in Perth Amboy, it did. Why? Because it's Perth Amboy. But I would tell you, if we, as a community, you parents out there, teachers and students, demand, we could. Because there is no place for them. And I ask you, go into the schools, you'll see. They're taking classes out because you can't fit, and we complain and complain and complain. So I really want everybody as parents to get involved into the school system. And we need more property, we need more money, and we're lucky that we get 85% of our budget from this state. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll just kind of ask a follow-up just intuitively. A couple of you mentioned the issue of dealing with the city, with the mayor. Tomorrow evening will be the mayoral debate here in this building. What is your plan of action, regardless of who wins, to have the Board of Education and whoever the new mayor is have a meeting of the minds and truly understand the role that not only you as a board play, but also to address the needs of the children?
I'll start it off.
Please.
I will continue to reach out to the city. I have done that many times and have always been rebuffed. Whether it was to meet with them to discuss the high school, whether it was to discuss redevelopment or anything else that will benefit the community and especially the students of this town. We have never been able to meet because, simply put, they do not care to meet with us. I reached out to City Council on many occasions, and fortunately, I was able to meet with them once. And I did meet with the President of the City Council, Lisa Nanton, and their liaison that they have for the board, which is Joel Colon. And we discussed several issues that we're interested in, and they brought to us one issue. And we acted immediately, which goes to show you that if the partnership was actually there, it would really prosper. It would really be good for the children. Their idea was that we should infuse our curriculum with more of a Perth Amboy history, because Perth Amboy is very, very historical city. And even though we were doing a little bit of that, we made sure that our assistant superintendent in charge of curriculum knew about this and actually went out and pursued this. And so we're doing it. We mentioned some other things that we had on the table at the time. One of them was water stadium. We wanted to do with it, improve it, etc. And we were able to do that. So when we have a meeting of the minds with the city, we do move forward. There's no question about that. It's just that it doesn't happen enough, and when it comes to the mayor, it doesn't happen at all.
just kind of to challenge the question just a little differently, or to change a little bit, is how do you now, with a new potential board and with a new mayor, though, have a new start? How can you work to say, this has been the past, now let's work for a new future?
As my running mate has stated before, communication with the current administration is pretty much, there's nothing. I mean, we try our very best. You know what, I'm going to tell you, there are 3 other camps out there that I know I know every single one of them. And I think that I can communicate with any of those 3 at any given time. I'm also going to request to be the liaison to the city, because I'm pretty sure that with any of those 3 camps, we could sit down and we could actually come to terms with whatever it is that needs to be done for the district, and for the city for that matter, when it comes to the kids. And I'm sure that we're going to be able to make things happen a lot quicker than what they have done in the past. With that said, you know, that's granted that the current administration is no longer there. Now, with the current administration, I don't know. There's things to be worked on. Again, I would request to be the liaison to the current administration if they do win, and continue to do what we've been doing and trying to extend that olive branch so that we would have communications. That's the key thing here. You have to have communications with the city in order to make sure to get things done. And without that communication, you know, we're not going to be able to get anywhere. And it takes 2, you know. And we're going to continue to try, to reach out to them and hopefully get through to them, saying, hey, listen, we got to get these things done. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, please. If you have a follow-up, go ahead.
Yes, with that. In reference to the stand-in administration at City Hall, I know them for many years because I dealt with them, and we did have conversation even prior, before even they were mayor. But unfortunately, what has happened now is their aggression towards the board has been more of, we will control you. And the board is not meant to be controlled by City Hall. The board is an independent entity. We do what is best first for the kids, because that is our first responsibility. We have let them know. But like my teammates here stated, we do also know the other individuals that are running, and they have expressed that actually your best resources are your students. If you want true rateable, it's a well-educated student. That is really what true rateable, because everybody here knows when you went to buy a home, the first thing, there's 2 things that, and I know I have a real estate salespersons here and individuals. The first thing is you ask, what are the taxes and how's the school? So if you really want real true rateable, work with the school. Work on the growth. Should be the school grows, the city grows in a positive manner. That is how you grow, because you're not going to be able. The Perth Amboy can't give jobs to everyone, but our kids will be able to get better jobs in our family. And like I always told my kids, look, my dad lived in the basement. Now I live in the first floor. I'm going to put you in the second, and eventually our family would be penthouse family. We further added the kid. That's what we have to do. But with the growth of Perth Amboy, with the development of affordable housing, because Perth Amboy, it looks like we take everything. It is destroying this community. It is destroying. Now, I was raised here. I was born in Camden, but raised here. And it has gone south. But I know my fellow board members here, and we always accept. We want to talk to them. And we'll talk to anyone. But schools are our first priority.
You've all mentioned to some degree the issues of housing, as well as parents, and the ability to have them come together. So I'll ask you this question. As a future board member, how do you think the board should handle the constant building of housing in Perth Amboy?
I've been aggressively on that One of the problems that we have is there are grants here available, but unfortunately those grants are going into developers. There is no benefit for developers, but as individuals that we are here, if each individual of us actually built a home, we got those grants, it is our family that profit. But when money is being tunneled in the path that's going for developers, there is nothing positive there. Nothing for us and nothing for our kids. So and we have to be aggressively not into the infrastructure of our school system is set. We have to put a halt on it. But again, it's not just the board's responsibility, because we can talk till we're blue and no one's going to listen. But you as the parents, you as or the grandfather, uncle, whatever you are, you will have children in the school system. Not into you. Really aggressively, as when you see a baseball game or football that you go all out and you all go crazy. It's the same way you do this about the education, aggressively. And take it to heart. Be a tailgater. Because I know individuals here that I see, and they're here at all the board meetings. But it's only a few. So, I mean, I've seen schools which I deal with the building principals, that we have taken initiatives to try to get those parents into the schools and educate them in reference to their responsibility. Because these are the kids, and we can't do this all by ourselves, even though we are. I mean, some of us even get sick all over it, and we can criticize, but we stood on, because that is our responsibility. Thank you.
Okay. First, you have to understand, we're two separate entities. As far as the housing in Perth Amboy, that's going to be left up to the city to make those decisions. However, what we can do is we can go ahead and we can communicate with them. Again, as we stated before, we have a mayoral race going on right now, and we have 3 great candidates out there, other than what we have right now. And I know that we can communicate with them in order to speak with them and have conversations when it comes to overcrowdedness within the city and how it affects the schools. So that's going to be key, is communication. Let's sit down, let's talk. Let me take my information back to the board, let them know what's going on. Let's see if there's anything that we could agree on as far as whether we're going to go ahead and build another apartment complex or possibly build a sports complex, whatever the key may be. But the bottom line is we can help with the decision making in the city by offering our suggestions, but it comes down to what they ultimately come up with. Now, we can also get the community involved. Community involvement is a big thing, because ultimately, what is it that we do? We serve the people of the city, right? So the community needs to come out and speak up. If there's something that they don't like, they need to say, hey, listen, this is not a good idea. There's too many people coming into the town. The schools are overcrowded. We're not going to get the education out the right way, the way it needs to be, given. You don't want 40 kids to a classroom. That's not what we need. That's not what we want. So the community is going to hold a big, they're stakeholders in this as well as we are. We do what we can to try to make it happen together. So without the communication, there's going to be a problem. Again, and I emphasize that, with the current administration. I really hope that, if they do come back, that they'll at least open up their doors to us, and so that we can speak on things like that. Thank you.
Dealing with, obviously, the main individuals that you are not only concerned about are the children, but obviously their parents as well. And so the question I have for you is this, is how is it that you can, as a board, get the parents to be more involved? And secondarily, what are the challenges that you see parents having to deal with that maybe are reasons why they can't themselves get involved?
First, I want to have the opportunity to address the last question that you had. I'm sorry, you started over here. I didn't get an opportunity. I'm going to piggyback on what my running mate said and add a couple of more things to it. Once the city builds or decides to build, we have no choice but to teach, to educate. Because once a child moves into our town, he becomes our child. He's part of the family from that point on, and we have to teach him and do the best that we can for that child. However, now, he's tenured, in the Catholic schools. Since we also felt that we wanted him to have, let's say, a Catholic upbringing as well, we did that. We allowed him to continue there, and he's still attending a private school. When my daughter was born, Serena, it was at a time that I was already a board member, and I was in the system, and I could see what the system was doing and trying to do. And it's not a household run by Sam only. It's run by the wife and the husband. And we made the decision that, okay, we're going to start Serena off in the Perth Amboy Public Schools and guide her as best we can, and try to ensure that we're there for her, because I went to a public school, and because of my mother, thank God, I became valedictorian because of her involvement. So I know that if a child is going to study, usually wherever you put him, he's going to study. Of course, in the public school system, we are more concerned about those that are, middling, because those are the ones that could go astray. So I have a child that's going to a private school and a child that's going to a public school, and that's the reason why there's the different school system for them.
Would any of the other two like to answer?
Sure. I want to start off with, I also had a prior engagement. I was married before. I had two kids with my previous wife. My youngest, AJ, he's never lived in Perth Amboy, so he's never been here. Karina, that's my daughter, my oldest daughter. She went to 2 years of Ignacio Cruz, but then her mother decided to move up north to Jersey City. So, unfortunately, trust me, I would love to bring her back. She made a lot of friends here while she was Ignacio Cruz, and still remembers them because she still reminds me.
I still make your friends.
Yeah, she's here. She still lives. And then now I'm married with my wife, who also has 2 kids, and Kevin, who was in the Perth Amboy School District from K to 8, and decided he wanted to take up a trade and went to Perth Amboy Votech. And Samantha, who the reason why I became a Board of Education member, the reason why I became really involved with the Board of Education, has graduated from Perth Amboy High School. She was K through 12, graduated Perth Amboy High School class of 2013. So, there you have it. There you go.
Me too. My kids, when they started elementary, they started at number 10 school, and it became number Rich's school. Then they went to McGinnis school. Then when my oldest right now, which he's the COT of a company, he's only 26 years old, but he went to Bishop Art. Then my youngest also did all the elementary, but his high school year, yes, he went with his grandmother and he did on it. And now he is a Marine, plus he's at Wentworth University. As it's not only I, but my family, they have a say, and in reference to his education. But his whole foundation, well, both of them were here in both of them were one was Richardson, the other one was number 10, then Richardson, and they both went to the McGinnis. My daughter went through the whole scenario here at the, no, she actually didn't. She went to the high school on it, but she was in Ukrainian Assumption at the beginning when I was a kid. That's where I sent her. So the difference is, we took a part of our children's education. We, as the parents, we decided on it, and we got involved into their education, not on it, and we are involved into it. We have taken steps for it. So, and I am very proud to say, yes, my son is 26 years old. He's 26 years old. My wife's been working, 35 years old? He's already making more money than she. He is a COT because the foundation of Perth Amboy, but it's because of what we did as parents to further their education.
You have a question, please?
Yes, one of the things that I heard you say is that you're putting out a newsletter, and you are only going to be sending it to the parents or to the community, because one of the things that I guess that has been, perception is sometimes everything. And today you clarify so many things, for the public, that as certain things are being said in, either the news or hearsay or innuendos, that you guys have the area to be able to clarify to everybody as far as like what is the real perception? Because I've asked you individually about certain specific things, and then you clarify to become so wonderful, but the rest of the people do not realize that that's what's happening. And I think that as far as communicating with what's going on and what's really happening, like even the city blocking certain things, that's going to help to the public.
I'm going to try to address that. It was it's a lot of words, but I'm going to try. I pride myself in thinking that I'm a fair person. See, for example, we don't, as a board, we do not allow the administration or any entity outside of the school system to bring their, let's say, I don't want to call it propaganda, but their information into the school system unless it's vetted by our administrators. Because we understand that there's a separation. We want to protect our children from whatever influences that might be out there. So if you want to discuss something with our children, first you want to discuss that with our administrators to see if it merits their attention, the children's attention. At the same token, the reverse should also be true. We are at the Board of Education for the school system. We are not, let's say, an entity that engages the community directly, but rather through the children to the parents. And it would not be right for us as a board to reach out to the community with resources that we have. It would not seem right. We're not supposed to be in public relations business to do this type of things, but it is very important that we communicate with the parents of the children to get them involved, as the moderator asked earlier. But the community, that is the charge of the city administrators to communicate with them. We love to have open forum for the community so that we could discuss things. And of course, one of the initiatives that we have taken is the Board's Corner. And what we're hoping to do is to eventually make it such that we'll be able to field questions from the community and provide the answers through the Board's Corner. So yes, it's an excellent question, an excellent idea, but we always have to try to make sure that we draw the line as to where our charter it goes to and where the city starts to take over.
Let me add something to that. I do like your idea. And I know the city does put out flyers in reference to the mayors, but unfortunately, to me, that is unethical, because now you're using the funds, the taxpayers' fund, to doing your campaigning. So that's why the board does not do that, and we don't want to go there. But we use these media actually to get you the information, or when you come to board meetings. It would be nice, but actually, you're really using, if you look at it, taxpayers' money for your own personal gain if you do that, because then you're actually campaigning. And that I know that's how City Hall, and actually years back, if you look at it, we had calendars, and you didn't see the kids. Every page you saw the previous mayor, and always the pages. We stopped that, because that was unethical to be utilizing those funds for that sole purpose. It would be nice, but it's the way Mr. LeBron says, our administrators, they're the ones. That's their goal on it, and they reach out, and when you go to these PTOs on it, or you come to board meetings or anything like that, this is where we take the opportunity, if you ask a question, just like what you're asking now, and we could give you. Or if people talk to us on the street, we could give you that information. But it wouldn't be ethical to utilize that, because that's more actually using it for campaign.
I'd like to get at least one more audience question in.
I'm sorry, Doctor, excuse me. Yeah. May I add one sentence to that?
Please.
Just one sentence. The reason why the Boar's Corner Show program that we already taped is not being aired before the 8th is because it will benefit the board members by putting it out earlier, by showing it every night, and we can't do that. So we have to ensure that it goes after the 8th to the public.
In front.
Yes, Bobby Gonzalez, I am president board member. I would just like to hear candidates speak a little bit about the election, April versus November, and what happened in that litigation, and where we are at this stage, because it's still not a fact that Board of Education elections will continue in November. They may well move to April, and this has become not a city battle, but it's become a state battle. So I would like someone to just shed some light on that for the members of the community that are here.
There's so many different things. I'm going to shed light on one thing, and then I'll let the rest of my board members, my team, go ahead and shed light on the rest of it. One of my biggest concerns is the fact that we get lost in the whole mix-up. Has anybody received the ballot yet? Does anybody see the ballot? How far down is N? It's pretty far down, right? So by the time you get from the president to the congressman, the senate, you got the mayor, the council, you got this, you got that. By the time you get to the Board of Education, people are going to like, what the heck is going on here? I mean, you have to give the people an opportunity to know who's running for what position. And when you have all those names on one ballot, a lot of people are not going to take the time, the extra time that it takes to go ahead and look at that and actually and make a decision of who, to vote on who it is they want on that line. So by putting it in April, you're going to give us a chance to be able to give a chance to the people to be able to see who it is that they're voting for and who's on that ballot. Because you're not going to have all these other elections going on at the same time. So, I mean, it's just simplicity for that particular reason. There's more. I'm going to let them get on that, because that's a hot subject.
It's been a very hot and sore subject for a lot of us. We saw early on in 2012, when it first started, that this was not a good idea. We tried it. We thought that it was worthwhile to try to see if having elections in November would get the community more engaged. But 2012, there were 57 candidates on that ballot. So it was very difficult for our community to navigate the way to the board candidates. And it shows by the amount of actual voters that went ahead and cast a vote in that line, which happened to be N as well. So by moving it to November, what the people that like it in November are saying is that you're getting the community to be more engaged because there are more of them coming to the polls. But not necessarily so, because a lot of them are just choosing a candidate that they don't know, because even during the campaigning, like we are doing now, we get lost in the din of the presidential debates, the mayoral debates that will be happening soon, etc. We get lost in there. And so if you like to vote, you go and vote because there's board members there, so I'm going to pick one. And many times they just pick the first one because they think they can only cast one vote. They haven't heard the message, from us. That's what the people that are promoting November say. What I say, what I believe all of the board members believe, is that it is a way for politicians to actually get their own people on the Board of Education, because they're running a campaign already, so it's easy for them to piggyback their candidates, just like it's happening with the mayor's slate. When she didn't have to run in 13, 14, and 15, this group of us, we swept every time. So it's pretty obvious. By keeping it in November, now she's hoping that it will be to our advantage.
I agree with my running mates, but one of the thing is, when you hear television or when you guys talk out there, majority of the time you're talking about Hillary and Trump, right? No one's talking about the board. So that does not benefit on it. By the way, I'm a Sanders fan. I got the burn. But there, unfortunately, that is actually what really happens. So people don't even get engaged in reference to the board. So it doesn't benefit our community. And the other part is, yes, we do sweep them. So it benefits us actually to be part of the November, but people do not get engaged. And what angers me the most is it was given the opportunity to the board. It was the board's decision. That's how it went. Did we want to move to try it out? Yes. Then we wanted, all right, no, people are not really engaged. Let's go back to April. And that was taken away from us. And it was the board's decision by outsiders that on it. But it only happened, again, it only happened to Perth Amboy. Isn't that inconvenient? Only to Amboy. So my words, yeah, that's where the Hispanics live. And that's the only guys that happened to, because all the other ones were able to change. But not us. Not us. So.
One quick comment, and then due to time, I want to wrap things up.
Okay, and just real quick, I just want to remind everybody, 4 years ago that the board had, the elections for the board were held in April. And were given the opportunity, they were given the opportunity to go ahead and change it to November for a trial, so to speak. But they were also afforded the opportunity to change it back if we felt that it should be changed back to April. So we went ahead and we changed it back to April. That was our right to do that as a Board of Education. Yet you have people who are in the state that decided that, oh no, we can't have that. They went ahead and passed a bill to go ahead and make us go back to November after we voted to have it in April, and we are the only district that was affected by that. And I mean, it kind of sounds suspect to me, but I'm not. I'll keep it at that. And again, that's the reason. One of the reasons why I'm kind of heated about this whole entire thing.
Due to time, I want to give you all the opportunity to kind of answer one final question as kind of your closing remarks. And so my question to all of you is, make the case as to why you will best help Perth Amboy by serving on the Board of Education. Mr. Ramirez, if you'd like to start.
All right, that's part of my closing. I'll go ahead and I'll just bring out my closing for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to reiterate what I said in the beginning. I want to be here to see our new ideas become realities and finish the ones that we started. We, on the current board, including the superintendent, have established a great working relationship which helps us get down to business, helping our children become educated adults who can contribute to our community. To split us up now could be detrimental to our vision and delay or even discontinue years of hard work and effort. Tonight, I believe we have shown to you why our ticket is the right ticket, and will ask you to support us. For N4, Samuel Abroad, N8, Israel Varela, and for myself, N6, Anthony Bermudez. Thank you, and have a great day.
I'm going to take 1 minute in English and 1 in Spanish. Be patient. My name is Samuel Abroad. Me llamo Samuel Abroad. Thanks to UMOP and NAACP for organizing this debate, and our moderator, Dr. Maddox, and the community for being here tonight to support Israel Varela, N8, Anthony Bermudez, N6, and Samuel Abroad, N4. You heard Candace express opinions, desires, and offer solutions on various school issues. Now you have to decide who best represents your interests at the board. I am and running mates offered to continue the work for students, parents, community, and staff, and achieve district-wide distinction while maintaining the highest level of integrity that you have come to expect from us. What the board does affects the city at every level. I put in your hands our fate to continue to lead this board as members, and ask in return that you put your faith in us to continue moving our schools district in the right direction. upwards. Ultimately, it's you that holds us accountable. Join us and let's be together for quality schools and be part of the great things we're accomplishing for our schools. Remember, we'll be your voice, but you must be our conscience. Gracias a los organizadores de este debate, a la comunidad que han apoyado y apoyarán a Samuel Lebrod, Anthony Bermúdez, Israel Varela, en las casillas N4, N6 y N8. Los candidatos expresaron sus opiniones y soluciones para enfrentar los problemas de las escuelas. En noviembre 8, ustedes decidirán si estamos trabajando bien para mejorar las escuelas. Yo y mis compañeros nos estamos postulando para continuar el arduo trabajo de regresar nuestro distrito escolar a un estado de distinción estatal y al mismo tiempo mantener el nivel alto de integridad que ustedes esperan de nosotros. Lo que la Junta de Educación hace impacta a la ciudad entera. Ponemos en sus manos los votantes nuestro destino y fe como miembros de la Junta de Educación y les pedimos que pongan ustedes su fe en nosotros para continuar mejorando las escuelas para el beneficio de la comunidad. Últimamente, ustedes nos hacen responsables por lo que hacemos. Únanse a nosotros para que juntos mejoremos nuestras escuelas y alcancemos grandes alturas para nuestras escuelas. Recuerden, nosotros seremos sus voces y ustedes serán nuestras conciencias. Thank you and good night. Gracias, buenas noches.
And to close this, all I'd let you know is all the years, well, it hasn't been many, but the years, whether I was in PTO at any time you needed to reach out to me, I would ask anyone, tell me when I did not return a phone call. Tell me that when I did not advocate for what you wanted. And the best thing about us is no one owns us. We do have, we try to reach out and work with the city, but our first choice has always been the kids. So we don't have anyone that has strings on us and pulls us and tells us where to go, and we'll continue in that path. And what we have done as this board, because I know people say, oh look, that had nothing to do with us. That was their little show and pony that they did. When we got on, it happened. Yes, we did have arguments with the city because the city wanted to control the board, but we never let it happen. So with that in mind, it tells you, are we good? Are we thinking about you, about your kids? And that's what really matters. So with that, please come out and support us. N4, N6, and N8. Anthony Bermúdez, Samuel Labro, y Israel Valera. And we will continue fighting for you. Muchas gracias. Good evening.
Let's give a hand to the candidates who came this evening and shared their ideas and answered your questions. So first to them, I'd like to again thank the United Messengers of Peace and for all the work that they did. So let's give them a round of applause. One final comment, if you don't mind, if you give me the opportunity. I find it interesting that in front of this giant auditorium there is a sign that says the Tree of Knowledge. Now, if you know anything about a great tree, what makes it strong? Roots. It's roots. And so I encourage all of you to not be the leaves that hang off that tree, but to be foundational root members who dig deep, work hard, and hope to make a better future for not only your kids, but your kids' kids. Thank you all for coming tonight.